Are there things out there that are, clearly good ideas, or things that are kind of like, yeah, we don't know, and there's clearly things that are bad ideas? Well, one of the things that falls in the latter category, the bad ideas, is taking advice on building muscle from a guy who's probably never built muscle in his life. I'm talking, of course, about our favorite physician, the Sultan of Sarcopenia, Dr. Michael Greger. And so he comes out with this tweet talking about how low carbohydrate and ketogenic diets are actually detrimental to building muscle and decreased bone mass, and he cites a study from the ISSN talking about this. And so let's talk a little bit about that particular claim that he made. Again, this study, senior authored by Jose Antonio, also Alan Aragon and Brad Schoenfield are also on there. And I've interviewed all those guys, talked to all those guys, and those guys clearly will tell you that a ketogenic diet is not inferior for building muscle, provided adequate protein and adequate training is there. It's basically about protein and training. So whether you get your calories from fat or carbs, it really doesn't matter at that point. And so, of course, the cherry picker that Dr. Greger is, he, of course, is going to utilize this one particular phrase on there saying that the diet was potentially ergolytic in the short term, meaning that rather than ergogenic, enhancing performance was actually a detriment to performance over a very short period of time. And they reference a number of other studies, all of which are extremely short-term studies. They show basically that if the athletes aren't allowed time to adapt to the diet, of course they're going to have a lesser performance when it comes to putting on lean mass. Now, long-term, we see very different results. I can certainly tell from my personal experience, I've had zero trouble putting on quite a bit of muscle over the years, as have many, many other people, particularly those coming from plant-based or vegan diets, for which Dr. Greger is an advocate of. He's had a lot of people that go on plant-based diets and then they get sick, they lose their muscle mass, they then resort to a low-carb, often a ketogenic or particularly a carnivore style diet, and they immediately start to put on more muscle. And why is that? Well, it's probably because you're now obtaining high-quality, bioavailable protein of a much better quality than you could on the plant-based diet. So this is just one example of the reasons why you don't want to take advice from someone like this. If you look at most athletes and what they eat to put on muscle, it's really just higher protein, and I think that's the message here. So you don't want to listen to a sort of a vegan, sort of a religious advocate telling you don't eat this diet or that diet because it's not plant-based or because it contains animal fat, which is actually very potentially beneficial when it comes to caloric requirements. And also, we know that things like cholesterol have been shown, at least in several studies, to support anabolism, or the building of tissue. So anyway, take my advice. Don't take his advice when it comes to building muscle. And again, test these things out for yourself. If you find that eating lots of high-quality protein, resistance training is able to allow you to put on muscle, great. If you need carbs, that's great too. I don't really care. Why don't you guys comment below and tell me what your experience has been for those who've been on a carnivore diet, or for those who've been on ketogenic style diets. What has been best for you for putting on muscle? All right, guys. Look forward to talking to you on the next video. Y'all take care.